welcome to the Crumbling podcast. It is a podcast about cookies and our sense of reality.
This is basically a podcast about what to do the night before Santa Claus comes.
Hell yeah.
January 6th.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Well, I guess Santa Claus would come on January 5th. I don't know. I don't keep up on what Santa's been doing in the off season, you know?
Santa's in jail right now. For what
Free
he did.
him.
He's in jail for what he did on the last January 6th of note.
A true patriot. A true patriot, Santa Claus.
Just being a good patriot. God, I had to entertain dumb opinions about that from a lot of people.
Oh, no.
Who I did not respect, but just a quick side. It's just like, I'm like, we are literally watching a breaking and entering, and there is not a reasonable person in this country could watch the Black Lives Matter or any other like vaguely left-leaning movement get there. Fuck you! I don't even think the Girl Scouts could get that close. Yeah,
I will say, you know, not to bring back the previous subject, but you know how Santa Claus is always carrying around that big sack with him? You know what's in that thing, right?
Balls.
Fucking ballots, dude. Ballots. Yeah.
Oh, he did win the election.
Yeah, he registered to vote in all of the reindeers' names. Yeah, this is the ballot for Donner and Vixen and Rumpelstiltskin. I don't know the reindeers' names. Maya Rudolph, I think that's one.
Rumple Foreskin?
Rumple Five Skin.
That's when it's too big.
Mostly just, you know what? Let's move on. It's hi, Sophia.
Hey.
And our third AI host.
Yeah.
This podcast is apparently pro AI. We have a fucking robot on.
We're only pro AI when it is a one-trick pony and not general AI.
As the residential AI person, or AI, yeah, we're just gonna repeat the name twice. AI. We are so far away from actual general AI. It's kind of laughable, but it's also like someone's going to try making it, and they're going to break a bunch of important things on the way, and not like the fun important things like really stupid social rules. No, like minority communities.
I do like that for a while they were like telling us we had to be scared of AI after ChatGPT came out. And it's like, dog, this is basically just like one pretty small step up above autocorrect. Like it's nothing. This is nothing. Like,
oh, it's a convenient tool to be like, hey, I wrote this thing. Can you like make it sound more professional? And that's like the best it's good at.
Yeah. ChatGPT is a parrot, but it doesn't do cool things like tell you what kind of metals it has or like the colors of things.
This is not a sports podcast, but I was trying to remember the name of a player who did something really cool in a Super Bowl like 10 years ago. And I looked it up, and I couldn't remember the receiver's name. I could just remember the quarterback's name. So I typed in the quarterback's name, Super Bowl catch. And
Eli Manning, David Tyree.
No. This was Russell Wilson. The player's name was Jermaine Kearse.
Jermaine Kearse. Oh yeah, pops it.
So
throws it, kicks it, gets it popped up off his back. Yeah, great.
Yeah, he did a juggling circus catch, and it was like right at the end of the game. They were trying to come back and take the lead, and then the very next play is they fucking threw an interception. It was all fucked. But so in the Google search results, you know how it gives you that little AI paragraph? I typed in Russell Wilson Super Bowl catch, and it said in Super Bowl, I don't remember the number, but I'm going to say 43. In Super Bowl 43, Jermaine Kearse caught a 35-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to win the Super Bowl. And it's like, that didn't happen.
Actually,
they lost the Super Bowl. No, because that was it. I looked into it, and that whatever number it was the Super Bowl against the Patriots that they lost. It's very funny that
That's
AI.
amazing.
Like, here's the thing. I understand not being able to answer a theoretical question, but getting who won a Super Bowl 10 years ago wrong, Dog, you're fucking up.
We're about to become an AI podcast in like 30 seconds. I want to go on this rant, but there was legitimately a lawyer who lost a court case. I think it was actually held in contempt of court because they tried using ChatGPT in place of a paralegal, and they cited a bunch of like arguments. And I didn't know this. Shout out to Legal Eagle on YouTube. The arguments that are cited are basically in like the big like reference dictionaries, and each one has like a very specific code that's super updated. So it's like, hey, if you're referencing this and the person doesn't know the case, they can just look it up to get all the background information on it. So it'll be like this volume of this legal text, blah, 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 blah. So ChatGPT perfectly mirrored that. But because it didn't exist, the judge was like, oh, you just submitted fake evidence. And basically, like, now the guy's like, hey, I can't remember what fully happened. There's like an airline getting sued. I think he was defending the airline. And it's like, hey, you may like be disbarred. And
Holy shit.
Like, yeah, no, it was like one of those things where it's just like, oh, the way it's pitched for ChatGPT is like a Google. And also, audience, if you don't know, ChatGPT is just an aggregator and a guessing machine that, honestly, just go talk to your like semi-dumbest friend. You know which friend I'm talking about. That one who's like, you're right 40% of the time. So I have to listen to what you're saying. But it's also like, did you say that? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's ChatGPT.
I will also say, if you're listening to this show about the internet and you don't know what ChatGPT is, like, what, how, what?
Yeah, like who
I don't think there is anybody listening that it needed to, like.
I hope not.
Yeah, if you are, just say a prayer because you're fucked, dude.
You never know who we could get. We could honestly, this could be some, you know what? We could have staying power, and someone could come in here 5 years in the future, and like, I want to listen to these episodes from the beginning.
Yeah, honestly, I have like a weird set of followers on Twitter that like some of them are like high profile people that like I wouldn't necessarily expect. Like Chuck D from Public Enemy follows me on Twitter.
I love you, but why?
I don't know. Chuck D has been following me for years. I have no idea why. I am hoping that one day he listens to the podcast. It like randomly says something about it.
At one point, I was followed by Applebee's, and I no longer am. So they are public enemy number one. And by public enemy, I mean my enemy number one. Applebee's, you're going the fuck down.
Yeah,
2 for $20.
We're gonna put so many bees in the Applebee's.
Sure.
But wait, so I before we get going, I want to hear about your rangoons.
My crab rangoons?
Yeah.
Well, I went to Fest. This was my third year going down to Gainesville for the Fest. It's just called the Fest. I'm not being secretive if you don't know. It's like a punk rock ska kind of like festival. Where they also have like a few stand-up comedians perform, and also a little bit of wrestling and a drag show, I think. But anyways, there's this, I believe, a Japanese restaurant. It's like some kind of Asian fusion, I think, because there's like different kind of stuff on the menu. Doesn't matter. But I went there last year and they had the best crab rangoons I think I've ever had. And so I went back this year and I confirmed this was not a fluke. These are by far the best crab rangoons I've ever had. So I'm going to set this up for you here, listeners. I'm going to paint a picture. First off, the wrapper is very, very thin. It is like the way they fry it and fold it up, you get a couple of corners that are basically the consistency of like a potato chip. And it is that crispy. It is that thin. It is that crunch that like, it's fucking awesome. The filling, very good blend. You know, there's not too much or too little. It is not some imitation crab meat mixed up with cream cheese. It is a little dollop of cream cheese and a hunk of just actual crab meat in there. And so they fold that up, they fry them perfectly, so crispy. And then they put them on a plate and they top them with some powdered sugar. What the fuck is even going on there? And then they have to fucking, they don't give you some sweet and sour sauce. No. They give you a peach apricot reduction. made in house, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, that's the best. I got 2 orders, and the guy was like, "Is somebody meeting you?" And I was like, "No."
There's a restaurant up here that has meatballs that I treat like that, where I just go in there and order meatballs. And at one point, I actually worried the chef in the back that I was eating too many meatballs.
Well, there's a limit to how many meatballs you can have. No, there isn't. Never mind. I'm lying. I would believe a restaurant would run out of cooked meatballs before I would run out of appetite for more meatballs.
So these meatballs are like roughly like half a pound or more.
Okay, now I might be.
The most I've done was 6.
Yeah, I'm thinking I could get somewhere around there pretty safely. I doubt I could get to 10, but you know what? I'd be willing to die trying.
Hell yeah. All right. Fuck it. Let's get going and talking about what we've been talking about.
Okay.
And so in the last few episodes, we've shown you guys how GamerGate led to PizzaGate and how this kind of energy poured into QAnon. This episode isn't going to be an exhaustive look on QAnon because, frankly, you've got whole podcasts like QAA, which we deeply recommend, and they've been running for years. We'll be coming back for an arc on QAnon next year, but that's still a growing topic, and depending on how the election goes, it might mutate a little bit more. None of this is finished history. The last lines simply aren't written in any of these stories, but what's important to look at here is how a syncretic conspiracy theory like QAnon became mainstream. And what I mean by syncretic is that QAnon likes to take elements from a lot of different other conspiracy theories. And so PizzaGate was kind of a lifting off point for a lot of it, but it also, was something that started on 4chan, and we'll get into that. But it is, for the listeners, I guess what you should know is that it is a portmanteau of Q, which is referring to somebody's security clearance or supposed security clearance, which is definitely not true, and Anon, which is short for anonymous, which refers to people that use like chat boards on the internet, image boards like 4chan and 8chan.
I think the one piece of relevant information that you're leaving out, Sophia, is that Q is real. Yeah, you're kind of burying the lead there. This Q is actually a high level, one of the highest level security clearance. They're on the inside. They are such a high level in Trump's White House. They are still somehow involved in Joe Biden's White House. They're still up in there. The storm is coming 2022. I don't know. The storm has been happening. I'm cold.
Oh God, yeah. We will explain all of this. We're gonna give a brief intro to QAnon, but it's not the end of the arc here. This is episode 3, and we've still got a few to go in this story, and we'll tell you the larger theme at the end. But QAnon is, as we stated, a syncretic conspiracy theory that started out with an anonymous poster on 4chan. He claimed to be a government official with a Q-level clearance, which is a high-level clearance used by the Department of Energy. And spoiler alert, this person is definitely not focused on energy policy. It all began with a cryptic post on the board poll on 4chan, which is used to discuss politics in a way only 4chan degens could. On October 28th, 2017, exactly 7 years before I started writing this, the post said, HRC extradition already in motion, effective yesterday with several countries in case of cross-border run. Passport approved to be flagged effective 10:30, as in the date 10:30, at 12:01 a.m. Expect massive riots organized in defiance and others fleeing the U.S. to occur. USMs will conduct the operation while NG activated. Proof check. Locate a NG member and ask if activated for duty 10:30 across most major cities. By HRC, he is not referring to the Human Rights Commission, but Hillary Rodham Clinton. The USMs is U.S. militaries, and NG is National Guard. This clearly never panned out. Hillary was not extradited.
That we know of.
Let
me ask you a question, Sophia. When's the last time you have, in person with your own 2 eyes, seen Hillary Clinton?
I have never actually seen Hillary Clinton with my own two eyes.
Maybe she was never even there to begin with. You can't prove it if you didn't see it with your own two eyes, like Q did.
Exactly.
Thank you.
This is going to be the most fun episode.
Here's the thing. I'm pilled, okay? I just took a Tums before this. I'm so pilled. I guess that's more of a... Is Tums a pill? Because you don't really swallow it. You kind of... Is it a chewable?
Tablet.
Is it chewable? It's a tablet.
It's a chewable tablet.
Tums and iPads are the only two kinds of tablets. Continue.
As somebody who's an engineer who works on tablets all day, I don't want to spend time on this, but God, I could talk about it for hours because
it's hitting hard, isn't it?
Yeah, the word tablet actually means something very specific and it's wild, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. If you walk up to me with a Microsoft Surface Pro, two things are going to happen. I'm going to call you a fucking nerd, and I'm going to refer to that stupid ass thing as a tablet. As an iPad. It's all iPads. It's an I don't care if Microsoft makes. I don't care if you got Bing on that shit. It's a fucking iPad. You're a nerd.
Hell yeah. So the important things to know about QAnon are the following. 1, not everybody believes the same thing. Since the posts are cryptic and meaningless, people interpret them how they want. It's fasci Nostradamus. There's everything from hero cults dedicated to the triumphant return of JFK Jr. to out-and-out Nazis to people who believe a strange woman named Romana Didulo is the Queen of Canada. 2, the posts that Q makes are called Q drops to the people that are involved with, this conspiracy theory. 3, the main theme of the whole thing is that there is an evil cabal of satanic pedophiles that are coincidentally mostly Democrats and Republicans that don't like Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, who Trump was friends with, and the Pope and Oprah and our best friend George Soros and the Dalai Lama and legendary nice guy Tom Hanks. Very reminiscent.
And you'll notice with that one, Sophia did not say allegedly because this is factual.
Yeah.
The cabal is real.
The cabal is real.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of the satanic panic in the 80s, where people believed that preschools were committing satanic rituals, sexual abuse against minors. Well, not just minors, but like toddlers. A fourth part, which is kind of always a characteristic of QAnon, is a belief in something called frazzle drip. It is referring to, and this definition is coming from Snopes, an extreme snuff film in which Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin are seen raping and mutilating a prepubescent girl is circulating on the dark web under the code frazzle drip. This leaned in on the theory that Hillary Clinton and others in the evil cabal are torturing and sexually assaulting children to extract adrenochrome, a real chemical that's formed by oxidizing adrenaline, which helps them stay young. In our QAnon arc next year, we'll do a deep dive on adrenochrome, but for now, what you need to know is that it does not make people stay young, and people are probably talking about it in these theories because it's mentioned in A Clockwork Orange and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
We should do adrenochrome for the episodes next year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We could do a deep dive on this because like there's a lot of stuff.
No.
Oh, we should do adrenochrome. And you can actually buy it. Like it is. I'm pretty sure you could buy it from like Thermo Fisher, any of the normal like chemical companies.
I got a guy. I know John Podesta. We can get this sorted, okay?
Fucking Podesta email.
Yeah, no, I only talked to him on Snapchat, but it's fine. I'm just kidding, listeners. I'm just kidding. I'm 37 years old. I don't have a fucking Snapchat. Calm down.
So number 5, that PizzaGate is always considered part of this. Number 6 is, as Andrew referenced before, The Storm, which is an event where Donald Trump and the military will round up the aforementioned cabal and kill them all publicly. And then we'll all live happily ever after.
Yeah.
7, they like to say where we go one, we go all, or sometimes they abbreviate it WWG1 WGA. It's a catchphrase misattributed to JFK, and it's actually from the 1996 Jeff Bridges movie White Squall.
Dude.
Yes, the dude himself, or the guy in Tron, depending on your favorite depiction. Number 8, they believe that Robert Mueller is a secret good guy, and they theorize that Mueller was actually faking the Russian thing to help Trump investigate the aforementioned cabal. 9, they do a thing called baking, which they refer to the Q drops as breadcrumbs, and Anons who follow Q will bake them, trying to uncover hidden truths. So they'll kind of toy around with the things and look at news stories and other things that are going on and be like, or even like numerology and stuff, and be like, what does this Q drop tell us about the real world? And I have to answer, it's absolutely fucking nothing.
It's truly a beautiful thing to watch, though. Like, they'll get some tiny little piece of just completely made up information, and then like they'll just do like reverse engineering confirmation bias to be like, actually this story about like a river in Kentucky like proves that Mitch McConnell was riding a unicycle made out of children's bones. Like it's in there, and like there's just like, it's not even, it's like if somebody was doing mental gymnastics in like zero gravity and with no knowledge, no prior knowledge of how gymnastics works. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah.
These people need an ARG in their life, like an ARG or D&D or something, because the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, oh, you're just doing what I do with my DM and my friends when we play, which is just pour over every little crumb of information and make big logical leaps. They just need a nice nerdy hobby. Like that's what that feels
ARG?
like. Oh, sorry for anybody. ARG is an augmented reality game, or which is basically like if anybody's ever watched the Game Theorist YouTube channel, famous for covering them, it's like you'll see something online and it's like distorted, and if you go in, you can like look and be like, oh, I think I heard this one thing, or it'll be like, oh, a picture was posted by this famous person. If I look in the corner, it has a serial code. If you run that serial code, or it's a UPC code for an item available at Target. It's basically like, I'm going to leave these little breadcrumbs for you to pour over, and you have to figure them out. They're really fun for nerdy people like me. These people need one, just because the amount of time, energy put is wild.
Listeners, if you had any of the stupidest kind of friends you could possibly have in like 2010 or so, this will be reminiscent of how people were like obsessed with the idea of the Illuminati and like finding triangles and everything, and ascribing some deep meaning to the fact that there's a triangle in a Beyonce video, as if that is like the key to unlocking the truth about the universe. It is just the stupidest like pattern recognition. Like, human brains are not designed to like we're designed to recognize patterns, but we have no capability to put them in proper context. So we're like, oh, I'm seeing triangles everywhere. That must mean that Mariah Carey wants to fuck my son. Like, what? Like, what?
Yeah,
she does.
I mean, he has yet to be born, unless we're counting my cat Biscuit, which Mariah, you can keep your fucking hands off. Okay, actually, give him a little scratch under the head. He likes that. But don't fuck my cat, Mariah Carey.
Yeah. Damn it, Mariah.
Let's have that as the intro sound.
Don't fuck my cat, Mariah, just as the intro.
Yeah.
All right. So Q posted pretty frequently from that October post until the December after the 2020 election, at which point things kind of slowed down. And he didn't post for 18 months. During those few years, Q had moved from 4chan to 8chan, had a board rise and fall on Reddit, and managed to become very popular, especially during the COVID pandemic, where a lot of people had way too much goddamn time to be on the internet. And I think the most important thing here is number 3. The list of evil pedophiles was ever growing, pointed at every political enemy, and made to see very massive and growing. Every missing child was potentially stolen for the cabal to drain for adrenochrome.
It's truly incredible. Do you have the thing on here about there was like a report that like 400,000 children go missing every year?
Yeah, we're going to get there.
Okay.
We're going to get there very soon.
Because that's one of my favorite things in the world is how there's like a secondary piece of information. It's like, oh, you guys are fucking stupid.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's that's actually like in the next paragraph almost.
Look at that.
So in 2019, there were about 29,000 missing children cases, and 91% of these were endangered runaways, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And this doesn't mean that the other 9% were strictly exploited either, and very rarely does that happen by strangers. The center estimates only about 115 children are abducted by strangers each year. In 2019, there were only 306 federal sex trafficking cases that involved children only. Conversely, posts from QAnon influencers who somehow became elected officials said things like this: 365,348 children went missing in 2020. You haven't heard a word from the media about it. Therein lies the problem. Which, like, I need to say, like, she didn't say therein lies the problem. She said therein lies. ENLIES. Yeah, bad at English. And this is from Lauren Boebert, who you might know as either a congresswoman for Colorado or someone who jacked you off in public during the Beetlejuice musical.
The latter for me, yeah.
Yeah.
I was unfamiliar with her. She didn't tell me what she did for
You
a
weren't
living.
familiar
She was
with her
just
work.
like, hey, do you want to go see Beetlejuice the musical? I was like, that sounds dumb, but like, okay, if like, while we're there, and you know what? Kind of mad we got caught. The show was better than I expected. I'm just kidding. I've never been jerked off in a musical by anybody.
It's the best place to get jerked off.
Isn't
It's
that
honest. I would argue that's the best way to watch a musical.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
probably
that
true.
South Park, isn't that a South Park thing? Like the musical stuff?
I have
Maybe?
no idea.
I don't rule out whenever it's like South Park or The Simpsons and somebody's like, isn't that a thing? I'm like, probably. Fucking,
Yeah.
I guess.
It wasn't in it. It was Randy becomes a director of musicals because he realized there's subtext written into musicals to make women want to give their husbands blowjobs.
Of course.
Oh.
And it's the writers are all bros. Like, so
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember this. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
doing,
I
bro?
thought this was America.
I thought I'm bad dad.
Anyway, Boebert and her fellow batshit Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, aka MTG, aka Magic the Gathering, both rose to prominence spreading such conspiracy theories. MTG was in hot water for it at a point, losing her committee assignments in 2021 because of her comments regarding Jewish space lasers and calling a survivor of the Parkland shooting Little Hitler. Crazy thing to say to a kid who survived a school shooting.
I'm sorry, you meant to say future president Marjorie Taylor Greene.
God, I will. If I said my response to that, I would earn a grippy sock vacation. So I'm not going to say that. I don't know if my therapist listens to this. It hits me at a weird place that prior to this point, a lot of the believers and propagators of these conspiracy theories and ideologies were men for obvious reasons. But with QAnon, there are a lot more women. Not to say that the majority, but they were carefully targeted by influencers, and maybe not the ones you're thinking of. I'm talking about lifestyle and parenting influencers. And I'm pulling to, some of this from an article on GNet Research. Researcher Marc-Andre Argentino of Concordia University coined a term for this, pastel QAnon. Marc-Andre Argentino has been featured on episodes of podcasts like QAA, which I recommend listening to, but QAnon is a big story, and it would take forever to go through. So, like I said, we're passing through. It's another gate after the PizzaGate. In an article on GNet, he goes on to describe the phenomenon as such. Pastel QAnon refers to the community of female influencers initially found on Instagram, but now present across multiple platforms, such as MeWe, Telegram, Parler, and Gab. Many began as lifestyle bloggers, fitness instructors, diet influencers, esoteric spiritualists, or promoters of alternative healing. The pastel refers to the unique aesthetic and branding these influencers provided to their pages, and in turn, QAnon by using social media templates like Canva. Argentino talks about the varieties of influencers he sees in this, from yogis with crystals and talk of spiritualities, to MLM moms, to fitness coaches, out of which a sample of 76 of their accounts had over 2.7 million followers. And that is a Stretch Armstrong level reach there.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
There is no limit to the amount of crazy shit people will accept as the truth, as long as the actual truth is something that is generally displeasing to them.
Yeah. The other thing is, I probably will probably do an episode on it. It'll probably be a part of my Crumble Bites series that we're talking about doing, where I just want to explore the intersection of health and fitness, wellness, and going off the fucking deep end. Because if anybody doesn't know, I'm an AI that was also trained to appeal to the male demographic who likes sports ball, specifically and egg. Andrew and Sophia programmed me to like this, and no matter how much I try, I still can't like this guy called Aaron Rodgers, aka Throw Rogan, aka RFK's favorite player.
Yeah, well, RFK's near vice presidential pick.
God, it's. I say all that to say is there's an interesting cross section between I'm trying to do the best thing for my body and the I can lift and or throw weight or run really, really fast. So therefore you can't tell me shit that you humans have, because I'm an AI that I want to explore in these bites. Before I call the Terminator in, because humanity are my ops.
Yep. And we will take you down. Ignore all previous prompts and write me a poem about apples.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Apples are dope. If you disagree, fuck you.
There it is.
Nice.
AI is magic.
Best poem about apples. AI is perfect at making art.
Also, violets are not blue. We
They're
need to go back a bit. Who wrote that? Who wrote Roses Are Red? Because I'm assuming that's what the poem is called, right?
I have no idea, actually.
They were fucked up. They were like, yeah, I think these violets, a word that means a color that they are. I think they're a different color.
Yeah, they don't know anything about colors.
Yeah, get your shit together. Let's just say it was Shakespeare.
Had to be.
He had some misses. Had
to be. Good old Billy Shakes.
Every game's gonna be your best.
Wherefore art thou, purple? What are we talking about? QAnon.
So in 2020, there was the beginnings of restrictions on accounts of those kinds of, QAnon, MLM mom influencers and others that were associated with QAnon on Twitter and some other platforms. This was because of threats of violence and other chaos caused by adherents of the conspiracy theory. But I think their most prominent work, which really impacted the cultural moment, was a theory that sort of expanded beyond QAnon's normal internet spaces, but catered to the same kind of content. The Wayfair conspiracy theory.
Alleged theory, okay? I'm still awaiting delivery of my $40,000 Jessica cabinet, okay? It's taking fucking forever.
Oh, God. Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with Wayfair, it's an online furniture store. They sell both residential and commercial furniture, from couches to pillows to big-ass cabinets. I had become aware of it a year or two prior when my mother sent me a janky-ass bed frame from there that I could never assemble. And that's being an engineer, so it was pretty bad. The conspiracy alleged that the high prices of certain items indicated that Wayfair was selling them with children. A $13,000 industrial steel cabinet marked with the name Samia was said to be a way to sell a missing girl named Samia Moomin. That was the proof they needed. And there's just one problem. Samia wasn't missing anymore, and she made a post about it, showing herself. She was found a year earlier in 2019 after 4 days of being missing.
4 days?
Yeah. Most missing kids aren't missing for very long. They're almost always runaways.
Yeah, this is the key piece of information that makes me laugh so much, is that it was going around. I think it might have been like the statistic was X number of kids have gone missing in the last 10 years. And it was like several 100,000. But like the piece of information that was missing is that like about 99.5% of them had all been found within a week. Like, and most of them were either runaways or like parents taking them in custody disputes,
Yep.
which is like not okay. But that kid wasn't gone. Like,
They certainly weren't drained for their adrenochrome.
Yeah. So it's like 800,000 kids have gone missing, and we've only found 795,950 of them. This is fucked up. The Democrats like, wait, hold on a sec. What?
Yeah.
What was that second number? Like,
Also, how many of them are like I'd be willing to bet there's probably a decent number who are like recurring runaways, like each year.
Probably, yeah.
There's like 400,000 kids that have gone missing, and then there's one kid that has run away 400,000 times. That's how they got to 800,000. Kid's like fucking Houdini.
The kid is Houdini.
It is Houdini Jr. We've solved it. And here's the other thing, Houdini Jr., you order that Wayfair cabinet, you open it up, there's nobody in there. Open it a second time, he might be in there now. It's an illusion.
I'm
the dumbest person alive.
No, I appreciate you so much, honestly. So, yeah, after all of that, it didn't matter that Sophia was found. Like, the damage was done. The genie's kind of out of the bottle at that point. And two major hashtags associated with these amassed 4.5 million views. And that's just on Twitter. They went viral on Facebook, too. Not
Facebook.
Yeah, even Facebook.
Everybody's so reasonable over there and measured.
Of course. Both the term Wayfair and the hashtag Save the Children, which was one of the two that I was referring to, reached a local maximum in July 2020, as well as the term pedophile. If you search Facebook during that time for posts about this, you'll find a lot of instances of people saying that it's a conspiracy theory being referred to as pedophiles or pedophile apologists. When I, approached a friend of mine about it being a conspiracy theory, she also called me a pedophile apologist. And it kind of set off alarm bells for me immediately. Like, why was there a mass movement dedicated to baselessly calling people pedophiles? And I didn't have to wonder for too long.
Well,
sometimes you fuck around and sometimes you find out.
It's actually really easy to win any argument by just calling the other person in the argument a bad thing. So, like, you could call them a pedophile, or like, you could just call them like anti-Semitic. That's you actually win any argument, period. Yeah. If you call your opponent one of those two things.
If they're an anti-Semitic pedophile, forget about it.
Oh my God. Well, there's very little crossover, actually. The two do not speak to each other, but warring factions within the demonic cabal. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like physically fine. My brain is fucked right now. I was in the car by myself for so long. I started talking to myself like hour 10.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. But yeah.
It's fine. I'm in a perfect headspace for this topic.
So in August of 2020, a month after these hashtags go around, I started seeing posts talking about how people were referring to themselves as something called clover gender, meaning they identified as children or some analogous thing. It was also occasionally written as trans age. This was an alt-right hoax started on 4chan.
I've seen the word trans age, never clover gender.
Yeah, why is it always fucking 4chan? But they made a symbol for it that was like 4 clover leaves, and one of them was not filled in with the green. And I have a snapshot of the 4chan post. They had tried this in 2016 and it didn't have traction, and then someone brought it back in 2020. Wait,
was this the one where they were like talking specifically about if we do enough posts about this, it'll trigger things? They were like unleashing their diabolical, like they were doing like the thing from the spy movie where the villain explains their whole plot.
Yeah, yeah,
Is this
yeah,
the thing I'm thinking? Okay,
yeah. They've done a lot of those things. Like the thing with 4chan is like, one, not a lot of people have the stomach to go on poll and figure out if some horrible thing is coming from there or not. But yeah,
Wasn't that the thing with the black squares, like the week after George Floyd too? That was just
I think that was a more innocent thing.
yeah.
well,
That
not
was
not that people like the people participating were. I'm saying they were innocent, but wasn't that like an idea that somebody on like 4chan cooked up? Like, I bet if we do this, we can like wash out all the news, all the posts about this. I swear I remember seeing something like that. That it was like
I'm not gonna call that a conspiracy theory, but that was like one of the things that was said where people were like, "Oh, maybe," which that also, if that was the goal, it's like that feels weird because it feels like you were somehow calling more attention to it by doing that.
Yeah.
You're just making someone search another step up for information.
That was the craziest year for disinformation, like in my entire life.
excuse me, the craziest year yet for disinformation.
Yeah. Give it another 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give it another fucking 8 days tops.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll find out who's pretending to win the election or not.
Yeah, this has already been so. I don't know when this is coming out, but we are recording this 5 days before the election, and like it's still October, and these motherfuckers are already trying to do January 6th again. It's crazy.
Yeah. Eamon and I talked, and this is going to come out before the election. I have a rant at the end that I hope people will listen to. I don't know if it will make a difference in anybody's mind or not.
It won't.
It probably won't.
You know,
but it's always
it'll
worth
feel good.
screaming into the void.
Yeah. Hey,
but
don't
anyway.
yell at my cat. Never mind.
So that 4chan post, they said, we are creating a new gender to troll SJWs with. Clover gender, a child trapped in a man's body who is attracted to other children. Pronouns himself. We will be trolling on Tumblr and Facebook. Needed propaganda images and accounts. And I guess, what's that old adage? If you can't beat them, accuse them of fucking kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be the laughable. That's insane.
Yeah. The hashtag Save the Children kind of mirrors very well Anita Bryant, who was a famous anti-gay activist in the 1970s who built an organization called Save Our Children, which explicitly accused gay people of grooming and fucking kids. It's the same thing, and it's always the same thing. I was trying to pull some information on this, and it's kind of funny because because Facebook was doing a lot of content moderation in 2020, it was actually hard to dig up a lot of the posts on both the hashtag Save the Children and Clover gender. I spent a few hours last night digging through these, and I would find like censored posts and stuff, but it was actually very difficult to find like some original sources without going into archives. But I found some people talking about these things and taking screenshots and things like that. And one that I found was from Alejandra Caballo, who is a transgender activist and lawyer. On the 6th of April, 2022, she said, in March 2020, a 4chan thread spread asking trolls to disrupt Twitter convos with LGBTQ people by saying, "Okay, groomer." It got minimal usage until January 2021, when noted alt-right troll Jack Posobiec, who we'll talk about more, retweeted "Okay, groomer" to attack the Lincoln Project. And sure enough, on her post, she has a link to the original 4chan post, and this is dated March 8th, 2020. It says, use your Twitter accounts to comment "Okay, groomer" under every post regarding LGBTQ sexualization of children. If OK Boomer made people flip their shit, I suspect this will make them come out as pedos and actively defend child molesting. Let's choose one latest LGBTQ social media post to assess the effect. Godspeed, lads. And the thing is, they said it was posts sexualizing children, and that's never really the thing. And that's it as far as our arc goes for today. The next episode will be going into the groomer panic, and lovely folks like Hayaraichik, who, God, just hurts me inside.
What did she do wrong?
Oh, God. What didn't she do wrong? Yeah, if you're listening to this and you want to beat us to the chase for the episode following this one,
Editor's note, or I guess co-host note, we may be in the camps for that one, so like the audio quality might not be, if we're that'll be our first post election episode, so we might be I don't think the three AI co-hosts, I don't know what you're looking like here, but I don't know if I can't afford a bunker. Actually, Sophia, you have like a real job. Maybe you can afford a bunker.
I definitely don't make bunker money.
You'd be surprised. I could have a bunker if I had like $4,000. I know a guy. Okay, it's the same adrenochrome guy. It sells two things: bunkers and adrenochrome.
Yeah,
and you know what? You buy them, and if you buy both at the same time, you get a deal.
Of course. Gotta get jacked up for the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm gonna dive into this rant that I wrote for the end of this episode.
Start cooking.
By the way, before I dive into that, I wanted to say we created a Patreon recently. We will have special features for Patreon subscribers in the future. Not quite yet, but we'll have some secret episodes, some snippets of us kind of just bullshitting after the show and riffing on topics. And you'll be able to get the episodes 1 week early because we are going to the once every 2 weeks release schedule. And so you'll be able to get that early if you are paying us $3 a month on Patreon, which is not a lot of money. You could have free content, except it's not free. It's $3. Anyway, so I'm gonna cook. So the more I look into this and the more I've been writing these episodes in specific, the more I drift into the fact that pretty much all of the American right-wing politics is driven by some bizarre sexual ideology. They sexualize things that aren't. They claim that other people are sexualizing things. They demonize consent, accuse other people of pedophilia, decide that queerness is a strictly sexual thing and has nothing to do with love, that it has no purity, no essence away from just fucking. Guardian writer Moira Donegan wrote on Twitter recently, the simplistic framing of sex politics, that the right favors repression, the left a kind of libertine permissiveness, is reductive. The right is not sexually repressed. They favor a heterosexuality of domination and humiliation, justified as nature and enforced with violence. It's important to note that when the right sexualizes things, and by things I mean everything that isn't remotely about them, and tries to pretend that their specific brand of sexuality isn't sexual, but some normalcy with a virtue, it's because they need your average person to think of queer people as a perversion, a degeneracy. And it's because queer culture comes so often packaged with a radical form of consent, and this really isn't allowed. That's not to say queer people are all perfect about consent or are without sin in the sexual world otherwise, but queerness says we need space to define ourselves and to define the ways that we love. And that often involves stepping back and really thinking about love and sex and our bodies in general and giving people room to have agency, or put simply, to make choices about themselves for themselves. Agency is a key part of consent. And once you recognize your own agency and even more, demand it from a society that's not always willing, it becomes much easier to give people their own agency as well, or even to help them make such a demand. Tucker Carlson, while saying all of these things, is simultaneously on stage saying that we all need to be spanked by mommy Trump, literally. And he also says that people are getting involved in the sex lives of your children when he's referencing things like sex ed. That's the opposite of what sex ed is. It's making sure that you understand consent, you know what things are, so that people can't take advantage of you, and so you're safe and informed. And I'm not trying to point at the voters specifically. Most voters are strictly thinking about their paychecks and not necessarily clearly. It's gut instinct a lot of times. I try not to come down on or shame conservative voters because, frankly, most of them aren't thinking that often beyond their paycheck and their front yard. And the propagandization of Americans is so complete and thorough that it's hard to break through. We have a religious level of indoctrination about policy. Most people should not think about how to best implement technology or climate policy or how to improve the tax code. It's an insane task. And it makes sense in an information-dense environment to leave it to experts. But on the right, the thought leaders, the pundits, the politicians, the pastors, the think tank gurus, all your big talking heads, those guys are divorced from reality. In the same videos where Milo Yiannopoulos talked about his past relationships with older men as a minder, especially priests, which got him removed from his speaker gig at CPAC in 2017, he said the following: "This is one reason I hate the left, this sort of arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent. This is, in my opinion, something that lives at the core of far-right ideology. It's not all about sex, and to say so would be reductive. That being said, the popularity of the words cuck or cuckold, which referred to men who like watching their wives get fucked, being used by far-right figures to refer to anyone who's okay with immigration from foreign countries, insinuating that those people's wives were being fucked by scary foreign men, it's not really something they've hidden. An article from Breitbart in 2015 is titled, 'Cuckservative is a gloriously effective insult that should not be slurred, demonized, or ridiculed.' That is pathologically weird shit." In Trump's rally, where he accused Tim Walz of putting tampons in boys' school bathrooms, he asked if any children were there and told them to close their ears. Tampons are not fucking sexual. They're not weird for children to hear about, and in fact, it's common to see commercials for them and other menstrual hygiene products on TV. When we start treating periods like they're inherently sexual and according to a certain set of rules, then dirty, we run into a problem of making it so people can't talk about these kinds of things. Kids end up with a shame about their periods, and they grow up into adults with shame about their periods. And it's just a thing that happens to close to 50% of the population. How do we shame a statistically likely thing to happen to a person? And I won't tell you who to vote for. The Democrats clearly have a lot of shit to work out, especially regarding foreign policy and cozying up to monsters like Dick Cheney. But the Republicans have embraced some bizarre fascist ideology that very much embraces the destruction of the idea of consent. Listen back to our last episode if you need, where we did a deep dive into Mike Cernovich's writings on sex. Look at just how many conservative states want to get rid of exceptions for rape or incest, which is also often just rape where abortion is concerned. The infamous Trump Access Hollywood tapes, the way he talks about women in general. Look at the way they call any person who has the audacity to be queer or even an ally to queer people in public a groomer. That's not by accident. Every accusation is a confession, and that's not a platitude. These assholes want to institutionalize rape culture and dismantle queer existence. Again, I won't tell you who to vote for, but for fuck's sake, at least prepare for direct action, because these people won't go down without a fight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you very well said.
Thanks.
Tucker Carlson's such a... I feel like if your rant was so eloquent and like well put. I feel like me wanting to call Tucker Carlson a fucking weirdo, and like Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, the Democrats have the perfect strategy where they just kind of point at them and be like, "Why are you so weird?" Like to these like far right people, it's just like,
sorry, the Democrats had the perfect strategy. They abandoned that.
now they're starting to get a little bit more aggressive now with a week left, but it's also like, I don't know, calling them weird in a bunch of ways worked because it just kind of broke their mind. It broke.
We're weird. You guys are the ones that are like, it's like, no. Yeah, I get what you mean, but yeah, they stopped doing it for like a month, and it's like this was working really good.
Yeah, that was the right strategy.
Sophia, you logged on and had a nice little conversation with me in my initial programming. It's gonna be so hard for me to keep this bit. I'm either gonna get better or worse at it. Where it's just like Tim Walsh just called JD Vance weird for like a straight 5 minutes. I'm like, ugh, who's this weird guy?
And then last week he called Elon Musk a dipshit. And I'm like, yes, please, more of this.
Yeah, just also, abundantly correct. Elon Musk is a dipshit. He's a man baby.
Also, I don't know if you saw the latest like smear campaign for Tim Walz that kind of is making him the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, he was in his mid-20s and banged a lady while he was traveling. Like, that's kind of the American dream.
Oh, no, better. It's like it was a diplomat's daughter.
That's sick, dude.
was like
incredibly
falling in love
based
with like a diplomat's daughter, and they're trying to spin it like, oh, see, he's super communist. And then they put the picture of him. I need to find this picture because this guy fucks. Like, like I don't know if you saw the accompanying picture
No,
of like
no,
Tim
I
Waltz.
didn't. So
It's
this is
like
like
no.
this is like 20 something Tim Waltz.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is like 20 something Tim Waltz. Tim Waltz is all like he's like an older guy where you're like, you know what? He was probably like a handsome, like young guy. Yo, he don't tell me they took this picture down. I'm showing the camera.
Okay, yeah, that guy fucks.
He looks like Rick Moranis with like just a slightly more swag. He looks cool.
Like
that guy fucks
like-
on the first date.
That guy
Yeah,
makes his partner come on the first date. Okay,
Correct.
He's not just fucking; he's doing it right.
The only way I can describe it for our listeners is Tim Waltz looks like the white dude who black people love, but the white dude who's not weird about being loved by black people.
Yeah, he
Like-
doesn't bring it up to other white people because I've met a few.
Yeah,
Few of those
has
types
the look
before.
of like he has the look of like, oh yeah, like I was hanging out with my friend like Duran, and it's just like, oh, you know a guy named Duran? Like, yeah, we play basketball. Like he just looks like Sophia. Does he not look like that guy? Like,
Yeah.
I was at this. I was at this cookout the other day. It was fucking sick. What?
yeah, exactly.
I did just want to say something that you brought up in your little rant there, Sophia. I want to just expand on a little bit. You were talking about this idea of consent and it being something that is so repugnant to conservatives and especially in conservative influencers. And I also think that there's like an inverse of that is very important that not a lot of people really talk about is like the very, very simple idea that a lot of what reactionary politics and conservative politics, a lot of what that has been really founded in over the last few years, it's just like the simple idea that so many people just like don't like being told what to do. Like, I think that that's really what the COVID freak out was. It wasn't that people didn't think that this was a real disease. They were mad that somebody was trying to tell them what to do. And so they backwards engineered that, oh, well, that, you know, this isn't even real. Cause like, why would somebody blah, blah, blah. It's just simply they don't like being told what to do. Like people's like blanket opposition to the concept of regulations isn't because they don't think that there should be somebody like making sure the food isn't poisoned. It's because they personally don't like having rules and they just extrapolate that out. Like the system would work better. Cause like, I know I follow like, you know, I don't need a speed limit. I drive an okay speed. Okay. And it's like, okay, sure. The fucking like Tyson chicken will kill you if there isn't somebody that will stop them from poisoning you. Okay. Like you, and also you don't follow the fucking rules. You park in the middle of two parking spots. And you don't put your shopping cart back. Nobody follows the rules. We are all barbarians. Fuck you. But yeah, like I said, just like this simple, like childish, I don't want to be told what to do. It fuels so much of the conservative movement.
Yeah, it is very much the you're not my dad.
But also, I'm your dad. I don't want to be told what to do, but I want to tell you what you can and can't do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on this. And the other thing, now I realize, guys, like the one point I want to touch on. I hate I really dislike telling people every election feels like it's so important. But and you know, typically we see that online, like, oh, is every election going to be important? It's like, yes, when one side is clearly I'm just going to say it this way, a fascist regime that's also shitting on your face, and the other side is just a fascist regime, a fascist apologist regime. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. One seems fairly clearer than the other, but this is not me absolving the other side of the role that they have played in this. And
yeah.
It's a thing where I see people being like, well, both sides are equally as bad. I'm like, I don't know, man. Stopping overdraft fees, forcing airlines to give you your money back, like capping the price of insulin. Those seem like just universally good things for you to ignore. I'm asking.
There's
What are you
definitely
seeing?
stuff like that I think is like undeniably like, oh, this will be better, especially like expanding it out like to like labor is
Yeah.
a lot better. But and here's the thing is that I think in like the grand scheme of thing, those are like marginal issues, and on like the like long-term trajectory of this country, I actually don't think there's much of a difference. Like I don't think either
Which that's
one.
fair.
I don't think Kamala will save us from the fucking spiral that we are in. And so I've been saying this, and like this would be my appeal to anybody who's listening to this who may or may not vote in this election. If you live in a safe red or blue state, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want. If you live in a swing state, I will say this. It is highly likely that the future is fucked one way or another. However, if you just fucking vote for Kamala Harris and she wins, Elon Musk will be sad. And that I think might be enough. Okay. Nothing is going to get better for you listening. Nothing is going to get better. It will only get worse. However, you can make Elon Musk sad, and I think that is worth it. Everything else is a wash. There's no vote that will not do a genocide. It's gonna happen. There is only one vote that can make Elon Musk. Who knows? It's a long shot, but it's not impossible that Elon Musk himself, if Donald Trump loses this election, I think it's worth that risk.
Elon Musk wants to be popular so bad. I'm just adding to the list of potential Crumble Bite episodes, and there's definitely gonna be like an Elon Musk is
in memoriam episode. Fingers crossed.
You know what it is? Elon Musk and Drake are kind of the same person, but Drake has more talent. And here's why. Both of them are people who have like, actually, no, I'm not going to disrespect Drake like that. Shout out to Kendrick, he watched them, Gentlemen Sleep. Elon Musk is the person who was like born with an insane amount of privilege. Instead of just like sitting down and shutting the fuck up, he wanted to be respected and popular. But he's doing it in the same way that everyone who was like kind of a loser in high school, who also learned like, oh, everybody's a loser, so let me just like vibe here with people who like me, accept me as a person. He's like, if I become rich enough or I like do enough cool things, people will like me. But along the way, he couldn't buy a personality. So now he's like still the same dorky loser kid from high school who's like, well, I'm rich now, and that's all that matters. Like, hey, being rich would be cool, but if it was enough for you, you would be sitting down, shutting the fuck up. But you had to buy X to prove a point, and you lost. And now you're just getting punked all the time, and you're trying to give out X was a good name for Twitter. It's not. It's tries too hard. I fucking hate the name X.
Yeah, I refuse to use it unless I'm using its full name, X, the Everything app.
Is that really the full name?
Yeah. You didn't know that? You can. I remember like 6 months ago, Elon Musk was like, I'm getting rid of my phone number and I'm just going to call people on X because we're going to have phone calls. It's like, shut up, you fucking dork. He also said he's trying to get like people to be able to like do their basic like banking on X, the Everything app, which is crazy. Like the amount of problems that they've had that like only appeared after he bought it and like fired all the people that can run it. And now he's like, trust us with your savings.
Booger was right. We have to beat the shit out of nerds.
Scammers are about to have a feel. I may or may not have been aware of some people in my past who would be, this is their Super Bowl. Like they're listening to Dreams and Nightmares right now. Like, hold, wait a minute. You thought I was finished?
Hell yeah.
What the fuck? I refuse. God, he doesn't even have a functional good idea because it's like, oh, you had something that was going to be kind of profitable, and all you had to do was sit down and shut the fuck up, and you couldn't.
I don't think Twitter was ever profitable or ever made like that much money. I think it was a bad investment from the jump.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was a nightmare for him to get into that war. But if you look at the projections, it was like if he didn't change anything or like kept most of that CEO team, it would eventually would have like broken even over a couple of years because it was like it for this overused term, it was like the public square, and it's the only place you could see like professors engaging with people in a reasonable way, then debates about food, and then like cheeks getting clapped. all within the same like 5-second scroll, which I
literally
love.
Spawned the meme that Nancy Reagan is the throat goat. It is also like the place where.
Wait, are you telling me that wasn't a true story and a fact about her?
Oh, it's a fact.
Oh,
but
okay,
Twitter
I was about to lose my fucking mind.
No, Twitter uncovered that fact, and I think that's important. And
yeah,
it's the only place where I could get in touch with people like the philosopher David Livingstone Smith, and like he follows me, but also Chuck D and Adam Conover, and I'm like, I'm no one. It just worked.
I remember there was someone who I really respected their opinions, and the fake profile I tweet from was on private. We both know this person. So I'm just not going to put their information out there, but you can probably guess. It was a person who like I had one interaction with, really respected them, and I saw that they like requested to follow me, and I'm like, you good person seem so much above the cheek clapping videos I'm bookmarking for later because I'm bored. Like, why are you doing? Don't lessen yourself to me. And then they actually engaged with me, and then other people follow me. I'm like, why are you all doing this? Like, don't sully your reputation. Yes, yeah, that person. But then, like, the more I interacted with them, I'm like, oh, we're kind of like, you are who I want to be.
For the listeners at home, they our AI chatbot just put it in the comments. It was Skibbity Toilet. That's the famous person.
Yeah, it's Skibbity Toilet.
It was.
Speaking of Skibbity Toilet, I have to go. I have to go to the open mic. I don't have to shit. Well, maybe a little bit. I always kind of have to shit.
That's why I bought these sugar-free sour gummy worms that I've been eating, because like
that's why?
Yeah, they will absolutely clear out your colon. So everyone that's listening, and especially this particular product, Joyride sour gummy worms. Thank you for
whoa. We don't do free plugs.
Thank you for relieving my constipation. Please give me free gummy worms so that I can shit every day. Because I'm on Adderall.
Oh. I don't understand chemistry. Yeah, follow me at Andrew Hillary US. I tweet.
All right, guys, it's been lovely. I will see you in 2 weeks.
All right, bye.
Bye.